screen's unit is rain, I hope. Thank you, Carol, for inviting me to do this talk today. As Carol said, I've probably been just about everything. For Tri-Valley Writers. Tri-Valley's been around since 2006. So can we get at least one line? You can read my notes. Just give me one. Yeah, there we go.
Perfect.
No.
Drop
one. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So my talk today is the relatively small branch that roars. And here's why we're relatively small, because if you were listening, we probably have around 100 members. Some people say, well, that's not really all that small. Especially like some of you only have 35, 40, 45 members. But as of last year, we had 108 total members. But of those, 7 of them are dual members. We ended up with 16 student members. And a lot of those were because of our annual high school writing contest. And in our policies and procedures, in our bylaws, student members can't hold office. They can help volunteer for other things, but they can't actually hold an office. We also have 6 out-of-state members. So they've been members for a long time, and then they've moved. So we've got members in Arizona, New Mexico, Oregon, and just recently Texas with Sharon Spitak, who used to be the state membership chair and treasurer. So our volunteer corps that we could pull from really is a lot smaller than our total membership. So we think, and I really believe, that there are really 2 key reasons why we're able to offer so many good programs. And one of them is, probably the first one, is that we treat our branch as a business. And that may not sound as sexy as writing the great American novel, but I'll give you some reasons on why we want to treat it as a business. And then our second reason is, when we first started, we had some wonderful volunteers, and we've continued along the way on our board, but we wanted to be the go-to branch. We wanted to be the branch that all other branches look towards. And that was a mindset that our board has continued all the way through since before I started, and all the way through to present day. So treating it as a business. CWC has a mission statement, and we take that mission statement to heart. We have bylaws and we have policies and procedures for our branch, as well as CWC's bylaws and policies and procedures. And we include job descriptions in those policies and procedures. We also include desk procedures, what we call step-by-step procedures or desk procedures. And here's why. How many of you guys have multiple electronic systems that you have to deal with on a monthly basis for newsletters? Raise your hands. We're going to participate here. I mean, we have to, in order to even get out our flyers for our high school writing contest, we have to use their system called Peach Jar. Every time we have a different coordinator for our high school writing contest, they have to know how to get into Peach Jar and how to do the flyers. So we do writing or step-by-step procedures, desk procedures for getting into Peach Jar. How to log in. We do actual screenshots so that they can see what it looks like, and they can follow those steps. By the way, you guys don't have to write all this down. I put a handout in your flyer. Sorry, I should have mentioned that first. There's a handout in your flyer, folder. There's a flyer in your folder, sorry. And you can take notes off of that. So the step-by-step procedures really help. And this really helps in keeping volunteers because they don't have to reinvent the wheel, okay? We also do a rolling 5-year plan. And each of the items on the rolling 5-year plan should go right back to your mission statement. We do a term calendar, and I'm going to show you examples of a couple of these in a minute. The term calendar is actually color-coded by job description, which actually helps when one of our volunteers is highly impacted for that month. We can ask somebody else to help them if we need to. If it's color-coded, we know exactly who's impacted for that month, especially like, so our anthology. You know, there's certain times that our anthology is just going like gangbusters, and we can ask for help with that. There's certain times of the year where membership is really impacted, like right now, because of the renewal period. So if membership is color-coded, we can see how busy they're doing for this particular month. We can get them some extra help. Some of the board members can help out. It's really nice to have that. We also have a working budget, and keep in mind that that's a working budget. It can be changed when things come up, but that way we know how much money we can spend on what products that we're going to be offering our members and the community at large. And the very last thing we have down here, we have a summer planning meeting that all of our board members and our key volunteers in committees attend. And all of that information that we do in that summer planning meeting goes right back to the rolling 5-year plan. So let me show you a couple of these things. But to speak really quickly to, everyone was talking about where to keep documentation and stuff like that. We have a Google Groups account, and if you're a nonprofit, you can get Google Groups for free as a nonprofit, which means you can store all of your policies and procedures and all of your step-by-step procedures and any of your other documentation in Google Groups for free. So this is a sample of the beginning of our 5-year plan, where we've got CWC's mission statement. So it's front and center. We're always going back to the mission statement, making sure what we're doing is what we're supposed to be doing for CWC. And we just list out things that we think we might want to try and do sometime in the next 5 years. We don't necessarily always get to that, but it gives us something to look forward to. And any idea is pretty much written down as long as it's going to meet what the mission statement is. Like I said, it's not all that sexy to do this, but everybody gets on the same page by doing this. Then we break it down, our 5-year plan, into a 1-year focus. And then what we're going to do in that 1 year. You'll see that we actually have some things that we do every month, some things that we do on years that end in an even number, some that end in an odd number. And all of those go on to that focus. And we can constantly refer back to that to see how we're doing or if we're forgetting things. And here's a sample of the calendar. And I couldn't really put a whole lot on here, but you'll notice we're all different color coded. You can see some of it's detailed down to actual dates that certain things have to happen. And this gets looked at and updated every year during our planning session, and as the year progresses, if something comes up, we add to it. So why do we go to all this trouble? I mean, it's a lot of trouble, and it's not as much fun as writing a book. It definitely isn't. I can say that. But it does help promote continuity within the board members. And when we get together with our summer planning session, we notice that if our volunteers are contributing to what is on the 5-year plan and what the budget's going to entail and what we want to do for the one-year focus and the calendar and all of that, then they buy into it more and they help to carry out the mission for the year. Like I said, we also don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can hand a new volunteer to the board what their job description is. We can hand them how to log into Submittable for contests, or how to log into, we use MailChimp for our newsletter. How do you put the newsletter together? There's desk procedures, step-by-step procedures. They don't have to be a whiz at this to step in. They can follow the step-by-step procedures. But we're flexible enough that we can change those as need be. And believe me, systems change all the time. So, we change those all the time as we need to. And then also, when your branch is organized, your volunteers are more likely to come forward. Even if all they're coming forward for is a small task to start with. Sometimes you just need them to start small before you can get them to be president. Right? And my second big reason why we think we offer so much is because we are the go-to branch. And there's a long list here, and I'm just going to come up with a couple of them to talk about. Because really, a lot of you have robust speaker meetings, we know that. Our biannual conference, when the branch first started, they said, we want to offer and host a conference before our 10th year. And we did that in year 9. But it wouldn't have come off as well as it did without, we have quite a few members who actually volunteer at the San Francisco Writers Conference, so they see the behind the scenes of the conference. But another big reason that we were as successful as we were, especially on our first conference, is we learned from other branches. Redwood, Paula Chinick and I, who was our first conference chair, and I was president during that time, we called up Sandy Baker from Redwood, and we met with her over lunch, and we talked about what things worked for Redwood's conference and what things didn't work for Redwood's conference. So we utilized the branches that are here and the knowledge base that is here to help our branch grow. Our community outreach, one of the things that we did that we took away from our last conference, leadership conference here, in our drive home, since we ride shared over to Fremont, is we wanted to offer a scholarship for a community college student who is studying either writing or has a major that is going to be somehow in the writing field. And that was based on what we learned at the leadership conference. So again, we're pulling from best resources and what makes sense in our branch. Now, we can't do as many things as some branches do because our board actually meets right before our general meeting. So we couldn't have necessarily breakout sessions for a marketing group or something like that. So that doesn't make sense for our branch, but we offer other things that do make sense for our branch. Because of our community outreach, we've been able to sponsor and host the San Francisco Writers Conference Practice Your Pitch session in that. So we have several of our branch members who host that and offer that session at the San Francisco Writers Conference, and that just gets our name out there even more. We do a biannual member anthology. I'm gonna say that because I just finished the 3rd or 4th round of edits of our 4th anthology, and how much time that took, and several members here were on the committee for our anthology. That's a ton of work. And our first attempt at it I wasn't with the branch or anything, it was before I joined, failed miserably. Failed miserably. We didn't get it off the floor. But we kept at it. And we went back to what is our mission statement and how can we assist our members in getting them published. And we went through a whole process on what we wanted our anthology to be. Is it the great Pulitzer Prize out there? Probably not, but it is very representative of our members and their writings. And we work really hard with our members. It goes through a 3-stage process on letting our members submit. They are working with volunteers in our anthology committee to improve their writing. We hold classes sometimes on how to improve the writing that's happening within the anthology. They get a chance to see what it's like to work with an editor one-on-one. And I can say without a doubt, we've got 89 pieces submitted and 10 of our first place high school writing contest winners in this anthology that's coming out in another month. And all of the pieces that are in there, that all of them went through some editing, and all of them are way improved from what they were when they were submitted. And that's due to the committee members who gave so valiantly of their time. We have an open mic. We have a couple of our brand new programs. We have one of our members said, wow, you know, I want to really have some community support in launching my book. Have you guys ever thought about offering a book launch team? We said, hey, sounds great to us. And since you want to do this, why don't you head it up and we will support you in any way we can. That's another great way to get a volunteer, isn't it? But he had a great idea. And we ran with it. And it's working out really well. We did several of you guys do a pull up a chair and write, or you might call it shut up and write, or whatever you call it. We pulled that idea from the branches here and offered it up. And we do 2 different sessions at different times during the week for anybody to come and pull up a chair and write for a couple hours. Some people say that's the only time they get to write, is to come for the pull up a chair and write. And then the last thing that we did just recently is we have a partnership program. So every new member that comes in, they get paired up with a member who's been there for a long time, or a board member who's been there for a long time, that they can then sit with at a meeting. Or they can, if they're not coming to a meeting, they can ask questions about, you know, new members, they're like, I don't know any of these people. I'm a little scared to speak up to any of these people. But if you give them somebody to sit with, to talk to ask questions, somebody who knows most of what's going on in your club, then your new members feel a lot more involved and inviting. And the more involved and inviting they feel, the more part of your community they're going to feel, and the better chance you're going to have of getting them to volunteer. One more thing that we really do is CWC does every other year the Jack London Award for volunteers, and we had just a go-getter as our first president, Sue Tasker. And unfortunately, Sue Tasker passed away about our 2nd or 3rd year in. And so we have, on the years that we don't have the Jack London Awards, we have the Sue Tasker Memorial Award for a member of our branch that has gone through over and above for volunteers for doing stuff in our branch, and they get rewarded and acknowledged in our June meeting on the years that we don't have the Jack London Award. So how do we keep these offerings? You might consider having a volunteer coordinator who can put together a list of potential volunteers and jot down what any of their special talents are. I mean, we have several people who are exceptional as copy editors. You think I use them for our anthology? Damn right. So our volunteer coordinator works very well with our board, gets a list of our members, and we talk to our new members, find out about them. We have our board members sit at different tables during our meetings so that not all the board members are sitting together. And they help lead any discussions at the tables during our meetings so that we can get to know some of our new members, but also our visitors, and make them feel welcome. We evaluate the year's offerings with the volunteer people that we have and with what our members really expect from us and what their participation level is. If we have zero participation in something, why would we offer it? But if we have astronomical participation, of course we're going to offer as much as we can. And one of the things that we've really improved on and done a lot on is our critique groups. We have anyone who wants to join our critique group, first it's a member benefit. They go first through what we call our STEM critique group. And in that, they learn how to critique. We have a lending library which offers quite a few books about writing and critiquing. And so our newest participants in critique groups can check out how to do a good critique. We have good critique practices handout that we give to all of our new people. And once that critique group starts to get really full, or we have people who are working on novels, maybe genre novels, then they might branch out. I think we have something like 6 or 7 critique groups going on right now. We have a critique group for poets, and we have a student critique group where students critique each other's work, and we have I'm the student critique group mentor, I should say, where I help them in giving critiques and providing critiques for them and coordinating all of that. And like I said, when a member comes up with a great idea, hey, perfect, we'd love to have it. What can we do to help you put it together and you can lead it? And that's worked out pretty well. We also offer a lot of offerings through member emails, our newsletter, websites, things like that. But it's not always easy. And like we said, we have challenges as well. So finding and retaining those challenges without burning them out. We do have a core group of dedicated volunteers, as most of you have. One of the key things that we know, though, is don't immediately ask new people to volunteer. Get to know them better through critique groups, through open mic, through any of the other things that we're doing, and then have them start with small, minor tasks. That's always been kind of key for us. But you guys can already do this because you're here today working on this. And NorCal is here for all of you. That's why NorCal gets together 2, 3, 4 times a year. Why your representatives come to NorCal. So we can share these things, but also so we can help you with any kinds of issues that you guys come up with. So today, take advantage of networking with your peers. And I'm just going to do one quick shout out because I've been tasked with doing this. You have a fantastic resource on the NorCal website, and it's at the bottom of your page here. It's the calendar. I've been updating the calendar for all the NorCal branches for all of your monthly meetings, and if you have a special thing like a conference or things like that, so that you can see what's going on if you're traveling and you want to catch another meeting at another branch. But there's also other good things on the NorCal website. And I hope you guys will go to the NorCal website and start looking around and see what some of those offerings are. So that's it for me. Thank you very much. I'll be around if you guys have questions. I know you can ask me questions during lunch or whatever. Thank you.